A reign of terror ends, and an enduring mystery begins. As Russian troops swarm over Berlin, Adolf Hitler takes his own life. Or does he?
My Soviet friends found no trace of Hitler himself.
The trouble was, nobody had actually seen the body.
Could Hitler have dodged the Red Army and escaped at the last moment? That's what Soviet leader Joseph Stalin claimed.
He believed that Hitler was alive.
How else could Hitler have disappeared so completely? Now, examine the facts behind the legend.
These are definitely Hitler's teeth.
And learn the true story of Adolf Hitler's mysterious end. April 1945. History's deadliest war is nearly over. The defeat of Nazi Germany is certain, but one grave question remains. What will be the fate of the man who started it all, Adolf Hitler? At his hands, a continent lies in ruins, and tens of millions are dead. To a shell-shocked world, Hitler's unprecedented campaign of destruction deserves only one penalty: death. But many fear that somehow he will escape. Already the press carries tales of body doubles who will take Hitler's place, allowing him to flee. Other stories warn that if Hitler lives, he'll raise a new generation to accomplish what he could not: the conquest of Europe.
People were afraid that the war would go on. The last thing they wanted was a disappearance of Hitler or the leadership, and thinking, God, it's not over yet. It's not over until we actually find him, until we know that he's dead.
These fears are only the beginning. Adolf Hitler could easily join the exodus.
Nazi party leaders seized any car they could, or any aeroplane or train, to try to escape. They all had good military reasons, they claimed, for getting out of Berlin, but basically they were just escaping.
The men and boys Hitler has ordered to fight to the death do their job so well they keep routes open for the fleeing leaders. The Russians do not seal off main roads heading south and west until April 24th. They do not seize the last of the city's airports until the 27th, a week after Hitler is last seen in public. And Hitler has one other means of escape. On his orders, workers turn a central Berlin boulevard into an airstrip. On April 29th, just 3 days before the city falls, Soviet troops are shocked to see a small two-seater appear. The plane taxis within firing range of dozens of enemy soldiers, and they do nothing to stop it.
Suddenly, this aircraft appeared and took off in front of their eyes, and because they were so astonished, they didn't even open fire until it was too late.
Later, those men would wonder if they had let Adolf Hitler get away. The audacity of the stunt would only fuel the Nazi dictator's reputation for invincibility.
There are none to mourn.
Hitler's other close friend in Europe, Spain's Francisco Franco, clings precariously to power. But Argentina has recently fallen under the sway of its right-wing military, led by Juan Perón. Yet at first, no one suspects Perón of harboring Hitler. Under intense American pressure, Argentina had declared war on Germany in March 1945. There are also the 7,000 miles separating the two countries, a huge distance for Hitler to travel undetected. But 2 months after the war ends, Argentina and Perón fall under intense scrutiny when a pair of U-boats appears off the coast. The first, U-530, surfaces on July 10th. 5 weeks later, the second arrives. Reports immediately fly that Hitler has harnessed Nazi Germany's stealthiest weapon to make a nearly miraculous getaway.
This certainly caused quite a stir. Why would a U-boat come to Argentina after the end of the war unless there was some covert reason for it to do so?
German Naval Chief Karl Dönitz surrenders to the British, along with munitions minister Albert Speer. British soldiers also capture Heinrich Himmler, head of the dreaded SS. When Himmler realizes his captors intend to imprison him, or worse, he commits suicide by swallowing poison. The Americans find Air Force Chief Hermann Goering hiding in Austria. They also uncover his cache of stolen art. The Allies bring 21 Nazis, all with close ties to Hitler, before an international tribunal. Or they are lying.
Neither Eisenhower, British military leaders, seemed to press the Russians very much on this issue. And to me, that was a mistake.
Stalin's charge that the West is harboring Adolf Hitler and other Nazi fugitives will survive for decades after the war.
In the confusion at the end of the war, when papers are destroyed and when people can change their names and forge identity papers, a lot of Nazis were able to leave.
But not all were cases of mistaken identity. We now know American intelligence helped the butcher of Lyon, France, Klaus Barbie, escape justice for decades. Despite his role in deporting thousands of Jews, including children, to Auschwitz. Would the Western powers go so far as to protect Adolf Hitler? In 1945, the British are struggling to prove they would not. But if Hitler is dead, where is his body? For 2 months after the war, the Red Army kept a tight lid on Berlin. It was not until July that Western soldiers got their first look at Hitler's bunker. These pictures, the first taken by an American, show the garden above the bunker. If Hitler died here, as witnesses say, his remains should be nearby. But when investigators try to search for them, the Red Army no sign of Adolf Hitler. Only after they round up and question members of his staff do they learn where to start looking. On May 5th, day 3 of their search, a soldier spots a charred shred of a blanket in a shell hole. Below, he finds a corpse, burned beyond recognition. There's only one way to know if it's really Hitler: the teeth. Smersh officers scurry around war-torn Berlin in search of Hitler's dental team.
It was fairly extraordinary, if not close to miraculous, that they tracked down the assistant to Hitler's personal dentist.
The assistant draws this picture of Hitler's teeth from memory. It's a match. It seems the corpse is Adolf Hitler. 60 years later, when the Russians finally open their archives, the world is stunned to discover they still have those teeth. Are they really Hitler's? German forensic biologist Dr. Mark Menegele is the first non-Russian scientist to get a close look.
These are the worst teeth that I've ever seen.
With 2 loaded pistols and vials of poison.
We were all quiet. Everyone just listened. And then somebody called, "I think it is time." After the door was open, I saw Hitler and Eva. She was lying on the couch. I still remember this image today.
Eva Braun had taken poison. Most believed Hitler shot himself, but neither Misch nor any other witnesses actually examined him. Could he have also swallowed cyanide, as the Russians claim?
Hitler was so terrified of being captured by the Russians, not wanting to leave anything to chance, he decided to do the two things simultaneously, shooting himself and taking the poison.
The poison may not have killed Hitler instantly.
Cyanide kills you because it attaches itself to parts of the blood usually used to get the oxygen that you breathe into your system. Your body continues to breathe very deeply, like very, very deeply, but it doesn't help you anymore.
Hitler may still have had time to pick up his pistol and fire.
Boxes were finally removed, burnt to the state of ashes, and thrown into the sewer.
From there, an East German river carried Adolf Hitler out to sea. Hitler's bunker in Berlin is also no more. Imploded by the Russians in 1947, it is now a parking lot. Just a stone's throw from Berlin's memorial to victims of the Holocaust.